This weekend, we find ourselves in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The week preceding the race has been dominated by silly season talk, as Esteban Ocon was let go by Alpine following his poor performance in Monaco, and Sergio Perez got a shock contract extension from Red Bull. With the 2026 car regulations released today as well, this weekend's GP has taken a back seat in many people's mind, but this is a massive race. Red Bull are under increasing pressure from those behind, and Canada has the possibility of being the race where their dominance really starts to wane. Elsewhere, Alpine are giving a clear indication of who is to replace the outgoing Esteban Ocon. Today, I'll preview this weekend's race and cover the biggest talking points heading into the weekend, so don't go anywhere. With Formula One's European leg well and truly underway, it is of course time to head to Canada, that famous European country. All jokes aside, this is a massive race for the 2024 season, and in particular Red Bull. The Milton Keynes-based team kicked off the 2024 season with a pair of 1-2 finishes and 4 victories over the opening 5 races, but they've won just one of the last 3, as rivals Ferrari and McLaren ramp up the pressure. Max Verstappen was beaten to the checkered flag by Lando Norris via a mid-race safety car in Miami, while last time out in Monaco, Charles Leclerc starred all weekend on home soil to add to the title race intrigue. It was clear that Red Bull's RB20 struggled to get to grips with the tight, twisty nature of the Monte Carlo track, as well as the many bumps and curbs, which will also be a feature at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve this weekend. Though that excuse can't be used for Miami, where the long straights of the Hard Rock Stadium's car park were used to great effect by Lando Norris as he hunted Max Verstappen for a first-ever race win. With a 3-team Constructors' Championship fight looking more and more possible, the margins at the top of the drivers' standings are also tightening up. Verstappen leads Leclerc by just 31 points after Monaco, and Lando Norris is just another 25 points behind him. In the Constructors' standings, Red Bull lead Ferrari by just 24 points. The closing gap in the Constructors' Championship made the shocker Sergio Perez's contract extension even greater. Red Bull won the team title in 2023 by 451 points, over doubling the total of second-place Ferrari. However, in the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen scored over double the points of teammate Sergio Perez, finishing the season with a 290-point lead over his second-place teammate. This season, a repeat of that feat is looking likely, with Verstappen already holding a 62-point lead over his teammate, who sits in 5th in the Drivers' Championship. Checo's inconsistency is a huge problem for Red Bull, and if he has another mid-season slump, which he looks like he is, then their chances of winning a 3rd straight Constructors' Championship will be severely hurt. Fans will be asking if the decision to extend Checo's contract was made too early, especially with Carlos Sainz a free agent for next season. Checo will need to turn things around in Montreal, but won't be helped by Red Bull's newfound struggles. Max Verstappen is expecting another tricky weekend for Red Bull at the Canadian Grand Prix. Red Bull struggled for pace relative to Ferrari and McLaren last time out in Monaco. Verstappen finished 6th in the Principality, making it his worst on-track finish since the 2022 Sao Paulo Grand Prix. A recurring theme for Red Bull this year is their difficulties at street tracks, particularly ones that are bumpy and require significant curb usage. Even though the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve has been resurfaced, having a good ride over curbs has always been a key factor in a car performing well. We have to wait and see. New surface as well, I think. That might also give us some surprises, Verstappen said. But it's probably also not going to be our strongest weekend because of that. But probably a little bit better than Monaco. Any track that is bumpy or has curbs or have to ride a lot of curbs, so the street circuits will probably be a little bit tricky. But hopefully by then we have a little bit of understanding of what is going on. Despite the chance that the Montreal track will expose Red Bull's weaknesses again, they may be aided by the weather. Currently, rain showers are forecast all weekend, which will help to equalize any performance deficit that the team may have. If the rain is expected to be heavier, then all the teams will raise their ride height slightly to compensate for the water. If that is the case, then Red Bull's issues with curbs and bumps in the track surface will be lessened because the percentage change in the gap between the track surface and the underside of the car will be less. Either way though, expect there to be a big battle from Ferrari and McLaren for the race win. Another team and driver who've been having a tough time recently is Alpine and Esteban Ocon. Following a terrible performance at the Monaco Grand Prix, where he ended his own race on lap 1 after making contact with his teammate twice, after receiving specific instructions not to fight him, he was told by Alpine that he won't be driving for them next season. Who is to replace him is a mystery for now, but Alpine gave a clear indication of who they would like in the car for 2025 by dropping Ocon for FP1 in Canada in exchange for their young reserve driver Jack Doohan. Doohan is no stranger to Friday outings for Alpine, having previously run in Mexico and Abu Dhabi for the past 2 seasons as part of F1's rules requirements for rookies to get 2 outings over the course of a campaign. This is his first outing this season. In announcing the plans for Doohan, team boss Bruno Fairman did not make any reference to it being linked to what happened in Monaco. He said, "With Jack's great work in the simulator and recent races, we can count on his valuable feedback in Montreal." Doohan is focusing on reserve and simulator duties for Alpine this year after electing not to continue in F2, and he'll be hoping that a strong performance for the team will boost his chances for getting the nod for 2025. "I'm grateful to the team for the opportunity to get more time on track, and also familiarise myself with 2024 machinery early in the season," he said. A good performance from Jack could see him get the nod from Alpine for 2025, as the French team look to rebuild after a period of management reshuffles and terrible car development. Another team who are looking to rebuild after staff changes and some terrible car development is Mercedes. After finishing second in the Constructors' Championship last season, they now look a very distant 4th fastest behind Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren. Having their customer team show them how it should be done has been adding to the embarrassment for the falling F1 superpower. Mercedes have revealed they'll bring upgrades to the Canadian Grand Prix as they look to build on their momentum from recent F1 events. Team principal Toto Wolff says while the progress is not yet showing in terms of positions, they know it will in due course if they maintain their recent rate of development amid a general tightening of the field at the front of F1. Mercedes' best result in a Grand Prix so far in 2024 remains 5th, but the team were encouraged by the performance of a new front wing introduced on George Russell's car at the last race in Monaco. Speaking in the team's post-Monaco debrief video, after a race in which Russell and Lewis Hamilton finished 5th and 7th respectively, either side of Red Bull's Max Verstappen, trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin said of their hopes for Montreal, "We're certainly hoping to build on the momentum that we've had recently, closing that gap to the front. We've got some smaller updates. We're certainly going to have front wing 2 on both cars. That is something that we've been working on, and we'll make sure we can deliver that." It was the 2022 Canadian Grand Prix where we first saw the signs of Mercedes starting to fall off the rails under the new regulations. It was the scene of the now famous team principals meeting where Toto Wolff exploded at the other bosses for not dealing with the porpoising problem, even though it was Mercedes who was suffering the worst. It was also where Mercedes fitted a second floor state before a technical regulation announcing its legality was released, raising questions about leaks from the FIA and favoritism for the Silver Arrows. This year's race could be another bad one for the team's boss, who is coming under increased scrutiny for his team's lack of progression. His constant insistence that Mercedes are back on the right path has been continuously proved wrong, and the scrutiny each time he says Mercedes are improving is increasing. His latest claim that they've improved, "We just can't see it yet," was ridiculed at first, but if the effects aren't clearly on show in Canada, then the calls for him to be replaced are only going to get louder. If the team gets these upgrades to work, then it will alleviate the pressure on Wolff and his much maligned design team. But if it doesn't, then perhaps it's time for the other Mercedes owners to call time on Toto Wolff's tenure as team principal and let someone else try to turn the team around. Do you think Ferrari or McLaren can take another race win off Max Verstappen? Is Alpine getting Jack Doohan ready for a race seat in 2025? And are Mercedes ready to turn a corner? Or is this yet another false dawn? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.